Shannon, how should the players be punished?
A minimum of 5 games. They need to be suspended, Skip. They embarrass their families. They embarrass this university. As I said before, Americans are not looked fondly upon because they feel like they're entitled to certain things. The Chinese community feels that they came over there and got violated by 3 young men that feel that they have the right because they were Americans.
Yep.
They're traveling with this team that we can just come into your country, come into your store, take something that does not belong to us, and everything's going to be okay. It says the charges were reduced. It didn't say the charges were dropped. So they did something. They need to be held accountable. Now, I'm not saying this should be a death sentence. I don't believe they should be suspended for the entirety of the season. But I think there needs to be some sort of punishment to let them know their actions have ramifications. And when you have these kind of actions, you need to pay some sort of price. And I mean literally and figuratively, Skip. This was not a good look, Skip. This is not a good look. Forget what you think of. If you don't care anything about the university, I get all that. And like I tell my kids, I say, I've done a lot for you. But the one thing that you're never going to be able to get rid of is that last name. Honor it. Cherish it. Do not embarrass it. Skip, come on, man. I mean, you go to China. That's what's on your mind. You go, and I mean, very few teams get an opportunity to travel outside the country. They're traveling outside the country, and what's on your mind is to go into a high-end retail store and pick up some glasses or steal something that doesn't belong to you? Bruh, your family, your dad's over there. You mean to tell me he can't give you $300 or $400? Buy all y'all some glasses. You gonna go take something. 5 games minimum, Skip. If they win as high as 8 to 10, I wouldn't even be disappointed. But there needs to be some sort of punishment to show that their action has consequences. And if you're willing to do those actions, you should be willing to suffer those consequences.
And by the way, ESPN reports there is videotape of these 3 in 3 different high-end stores stealing, shoplifting. And I don't know, I haven't
3,
seen
Skip.
it. That's what they reported, but I don't know. That's their report. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know exactly what did happen, but I'm so with you. The first day it broke, we talked about LiAngelo. You want to talk about a last name? He's got a last name. Famous or infamous, however you want to look at it, but it's out there, and so you're going to bring a lot of attention, if not shame, to your father and your big brother, who's now Los Angeles Laker. And I don't know exactly which of the 3. I don't know. I don't know enough about it except they brought shame upon their college basketball team and their university, UCLA.
Yes.
And the UCLA student newspaper is now calling for them to be expelled from school. No surprise. And a lot of people in the media are calling for 1-year suspensions. Maybe I'm going a little soft, but I'm more in line with you. I'm a little stronger than you. What struck me last night was they've been through a lot. They've taken a lot of shame publicly. They've been ridiculed. So I was thinking if they were forced to sit out the rest of 2017, like you can come back when the calendar flips to 2018.
So what, Christmas break?
Yeah, where you would miss the next 15 games. That would include 2 conference games because you don't want them to come back and say, oh, well, you just brought them back for the conference games. You know, you just had to miss the non-conference. But if you missed 2 home conference games, Washington State, and then you start the new year anew, and you bring them back for the final 16 games, so they would have missed 15 and play 16. So effectively, you would miss half the season. That feels like enough. And again, maybe I'm going a little soft on this. It's a terrible thing that happened.
Yeah.
And it took the president of the United States to intervene and talk to the president of China, and I think it had some effect. It sounded like it did.
Yes.
And yet, President Trump was quoted as saying that it was a tough subject to broach. It was not a good subject. That was something that should not have happened. What they did was unfortunate. You know, you're talking about a very long prison sentence. They do not play games in China.
Right.
So it took diplomatic intervention at the highest level to save them. They were under sort of house arrest, hotel arrest for a week. And yet, to me, it's enough to make them sit for a half a year, and they're going to do their little press session, their media session today, but they're not going to take questions, which I don't love.
Right.
They're each just going to make a statement. They're going to apologize. I wish they would take questions.
For me, Skip, and my grandmother did not have there was obviously no social media, but my grandmother had a good name. And when I started playing sports and I started doing things, the first thing I thought about was that's going to come back on her. They're going to say, well, Mary did a terrible job of raising those boys. When my brother became a professional, all the things that I maybe thought about did or I did and I could get away with, I stopped doing it because now I'm also I represent him. So I thought about all those things, Skip, and to this day, I still think, Sterling Sharpe, Sheriff Sharpe, and all that still go through my mind, Skip. I'm a representative of Savannah State. I know my university is proud of me of what I've been able to come. I don't want shame to come with like, oh, Savannah State, one of their most prominent alums, he's done this. Denver Broncos, Skip, I represent so many things in a positive way. I would never want to do anything that would bring negative attention to those people. I just don't get it. And you're telling me that 3 times, so 3 different locations. So it wasn't good enough that you got away with one of them. You did it 2 other times. Come on, man. No, you got to go sit this down. You got to go sit this down. I will tell you what. Do like Coach K did Grayson Allen. Suspend him indefinitely, let him miss like 2 or 3 games.
Well, that's true. But one final factor here that we didn't hit head on, that's the LeVar factor.
Yeah.
His first quote about this the day after it happened was, "It ain't that big of a deal." And I assume he's going to try to sort of flex his muscles with Steve Alford in the university community and say, no, you can't do that to my son, because the next son in line is scheduled to come to UCLA, 2 years? 2 years from now. And he's the better of the 2 younger sons, obviously, the higher rated.
Right.
So it's going to be interesting if LeVar tries to flex on this.
Flex all he wants to.
Yeah.
If I'm Steve Alford, I'll say, yes, I can. I'm gonna show you.
Yeah.
You got to set the guidelines somewhere, Skip. Because if you do nothing, so everybody's like, well, hold on. These dudes went to a foreign country and shoplifted. So I can do whatever I want to do. What's the difference? Why? You showing favoritism? Look, you treat everybody fair. You don't treat everybody the same. But when the act is so egregious, and I know, did I get treated the same way as John Elway? No. Did some of the players get treated the same as myself and Terrell? No. Mike treated us all fair. Head coach, but he didn't treat us all the same. But if it was an egregious act, now John didn't show up to practice. Well, I need to know what kids weren't sick, wife wasn't sick. I need to know why, because I got me a sick day built up too.
Well, bottom line, as far as I know about the 3 kids, they don't have track record. This is one dumb thing they did, one really bad thing they did.
This is really dumb.
There are a lot of people. There are a lot of people up in Folsom.
I know.
They were first-time offenders in prison.
Well, I mean, we've all done things that we're not proud of or embarrassed of. Going to another country and stealing is a whole different level. When you get the President of the United States involved, when he has other more important things to do for a lot of other people, it's a whole different situation. And they really escaped prison time. That's serious. The president just tweeted, do you think the 3 UCLA basketball players will say thank you, President Trump? They were headed for 10 years in jail. I don't always agree with him, but I do think they probably owe him a thank you.
I mean, Skip, I was not a big traveler, but can you imagine? I'm like, oh, we going out of town, we going out of the country. I remember, we going to Japan my rookie year. Yeah, my rookie year. I was like, we going to Japan.
If I'm leaving the country, the number one thing I'm trying to do is not get arrested.
Yeah, I should have started went to in Japan. I should went to
there's
Electronic District.
something like this only happens because you feel entitled, which is exactly why UCLA has to do something about it. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.